to mark a positive change in understanding the importance of mental health from grassroots level. And today's session will throw some light on mental health transcending disciplines. Now I would like to hand over the floor to Ms. Shambhavi Mishra, faculty co-convener of the society.
A very good evening to everyone. I hope I'm audible. A very warm welcome to the esteemed guests and the dignitaries. Welcome to the inaugural session of MERAKI, the Society for Mental Health. Just yesterday, our social media platforms were flooded with messages and posts marking the World Mental Health Day. Issues around mental health and the well-being have started gaining platform in the 20th century, but perhaps it took a pandemic for all of us to understand the urgent need to look after our mental and emotional well-being, and not just our physical health only. So today we have with us Honorable Mr. Justice Swatantra Kumar, whose sterling work as the chairperson of NGT is a known story. It was perhaps some of your judgments, sir, which started the entire discourse around personal mental health and environment conservation. We then have Ms. Shivani Sadhu Misri. I welcome you, ma'am, who represents, and quite wonderfully so, the entire discipline of psychology and the profession of counseling. It would be wonderful to have an interactive session with both of you esteemed guests.
Well, let me first compliment the organizers of the event for having traveled into a very, very important facet of human life and then trying to relate it to the law. See, psychology and law definitely are two different disciplines. Despite being two distinct disciplines, they not only fall in the same group of humanities, but more importantly, they have a very fundamental linkage with each other. Today, if you see the psychology, it is defined as science which studies the mental aspects, the determination and human behavior. In short, it studies the human and its effects on human behavior. Now, let's take a very simple example, which nothing much to do with the law in strict sense. Given a situation, a person being sick, a person being involved in very serious litigation, the person being involved in certain offenses, why different people act differently? Because there is no parameters provided for human behavior. People living in the same house, same environment, do react differently to different situations. Your tolerance levels are different. If one looks into the sports, they say that this player has got a lot of mental strength. His determinative powers are very strong. All I am trying to put across is that the variation of human behavior, even to the same circumstance, even to the same event, even to the same problem, can be very diverse, it can be very varied, and it can be absolutely different, varying from individual to individual. Now, why does the law and psychology has a link? See, law is, how does a law is enacted? a law is enacted on what the society, the group of human beings together think are their norms of living and norms of behavior. That becomes the law. Whether you talk of one field, you talk of another field, whether you talk of commercial field, whether you talk of environmental field, whether you talk of family environment, family litigation. So all of them are directly relatable to one thing, that you have a set norms framed by the society, which the people of a society or a country feels that they need not be crossed. Now, how those standards are established is the psychology of those people. The people who are living in the society, how do they react? How do they feel that what is right, what is wrong, to what extent it is wrong, and what is right is absolute right or a right for the sake of right. Now, these are the comparative terms which are used and which are in practice found to be very, very different. And therefore, the law finds its origin in a society, because you elect parliamentarians, you elect legislature members who enact law. So they are primarily concerned with how do you mentally react to a particular situation, what protections do you want on a particular circumstance. If one event or one accident happening in a particular thing brings a very strong social objection, or masses are against that, the legislature is bound to think of providing that protection in relation to that particular offense. Now, as you know, if we look back in the recent past, most of the laws have come out of human minds' behavior or human minds' reactions to given situations. Please refer to the constitutional aspects of our constitution. I'm sure all of you know Article 21 of the Constitution of India. It's just a one-line article, which says that no person shall be deprived of his liberty without due process of law. Now, just that one sentence, and let's see how the human mind, creative mind, has influenced the expansion of Article 21 of the Constitution of India. If you recollect, there was very strong feeling that we must educate our society, we must educate our children, no matter what happens, because we have a larger section below the poverty line. Therefore, it was felt that those people should be provided free education. Now, these 2-3 thoughts which began or which found their original in the common man's mind traveled to the judges, and the judges formulated the Article 21 expansion to say that the right to primary education, then middle education and school education was treated as a fundamental right. Because why did they say so? How did they expand it? That's why I say, we in law term it as judicial creativity. Now, judicial creativity is directly concerned with your analysis and capacity of your mind to create things, to lay down new dimension to the existing legislative laws to the extent that they influence the mind and society to a large extent. Similarly, let me tell you one thing more, because one must mention about the environment, especially keeping in view the COVID-19 situation. Now, how did the environment found place under Article 21? As you know that the Supreme Court judgments came out and it said that right to decent and clean environment was a fundamental right. Now, why did the Supreme Court say so? Because the framers of the Constitution didn't say so. We have different sections or different articles in the Constitution which deal with environmental facets and aspects, but it was never thought by the framers that there is a need to put the right to clean and decent environment as a fundamental right. That's why it was not mentioned in Chapter 3 at all. Now, why did the Supreme Court create it? Supreme Court, by what you call the judge-made law, created it all over our country and made it because there was so much of resentment in our society that we were trying to waste our natural resources. We were causing pollution, whether it was Yamuna, Ganga, Himalayas, destroying forests, burning forests, coastal areas being destroyed. So all this cumulatively all over dealt with, and then the international community, as you know, there are different conventions which created, and in terms of Article 253 of the Constitution, the framers thought they did not consider appropriate to make laws, but did not make the laws like Air Pollution Control Act, Water Pollution Control Act, Biodiversity Act, then they made the Environmental Protection Act, but nobody placed it at the pedestal of fundamental rights of the citizens. This the Supreme Court did because of creative mind. That means the human mind, the society influenced the courts influence the law, and the law influences the day-to-day conduct by enacting laws. So as you will see that there is a direct nexus between the psychology or psychological aspects, I would put it, of the human mind in relation to its professional matters. Now, this is not restricted only to law. As far as I think, it is applicable to everything, even medical, engineering, sports, everything. This, I think, it plays its own role. Having given you that background, now let's see what is the relevancy of the psychology in law. First, one can say psychology can help the present decision makers in making decisions by providing more accurate images and pictures of human perceptions and preferences. 2. It helps to check the veracity of the witnesses, as eyewitnesses are often known to be influenced by or afraid of accused. It can also help in reducing the false conventions by adopting peace models, such as those that are being highly done by the UK police. Psychological studies include the examination of different areas which have legal and social significance. It has on empirical and psychological reaches of legal institutions as well as law, and focuses on legal psychology rather than clinical oriented forensic psychology. Pronouncing judgment, considering the psychological aspects of the accused mind, ensure justice in its real meaning. Then, I would, at this stage, before I travel further on some academic aspects, I would like to give you a very small example of the day-to-day life and the relation of the human mind reactions to the framing of the law. See, please kindly understand, when we talk of framing of law or relationship with law, it does not mean only the statutory law. In our legal jurisprudence of our country, there are different sources of law. Laws are framed by the framers of the laws, that is the parliament, the state legislative assemblies, which you call as a legislative act. Then you have regulatory regimes, which are executive laws, which are not framed by legislature, but they are framed by regulatory agencies. Then you have the third, which is called the judge-made law, which is today of a great significance, not in our country alone, but globally. Having said that, the example that I want to give you is, if you recollect, there was a very famous case of the Bombay, which I think was titled as, I forget the name of the case, but there was a case where young boys driving in a drunken condition, the vehicle had killed around about four people who were sleeping on the footpath. Now see, it is what is the role of human psychology in the framing of or laying down the principles of law, even in the criminal jurisprudence. Civil, I've given you some examples, but on the criminal, it has even a larger impact. Now, what do you think when a person who is deciding that case, if he thinks that what are these people doing on the footpath? Why should they be there? What is wrong if these boys at 2 a.m. in the night were driving with music on, drunk condition, and they sort of hit them by the way and they unfortunately died? Now that is the way of looking at it. Why not? Because then it is at best a case of rash and negligent driving, which has hardly a punishment in our codes and the Indian Penal Code, and the person are left free. But at the same time, suppose a person thinks on the basis that we are a poor country, we have a class of people who are not able to make their ends meet. They do not have the facility of living, and therefore they find a place ultimately to spend the night and to, kind of prepare themselves for the earning of the next day by lying on the footpaths or on the areas which are not the roads, but they are off the road areas. So then, and therefore it's a socio-economic issue arising out of a fundamental need of the people, that is the right to life and right to livelihood. If you combine these two rights, your justification for dealing with the case would become different, and you may call it a homicide not amounting to murder. So therefore, now see the trust which will be based merely on your thinking. How does your mind react? How do you feel? And how does your mind develops? They say, I don't know, you people are very great people, I think, all of you. I thought that people do not use more than their 10 to 15% of their brain in all their life. So you can imagine what kind of a gift God has given us, which, in spite of our complex lives, in spite of our pressures of job, which I think adds to the mental deterioration. And, that is called the frustration, that is called I think, if I don't mistake, that how do you react to situations, your journal behavior becomes ill by mental health. So your mental health is truly, as one of the persons mentioning just now talked, your mental health is as important as your physical, if not more. Because if your mind is strong, you can still find the physical disability. But if your mind is sick, it's very difficult for you to fight the normal physical hearing. Now, with this, I think we can also emphasize on legal psychology. Legal psychology deals with cognitive and social principles and their usage in legal system. It is based on empirical and psychological researches. And when we talk of cognitive psychologists, are trained primarily as researchers and teachers, and perception which they frame. All that we have to take care is that psychology has undoubtedly a fundamental link to the framing of law, implementation of law, not only this, but even practice of law has lot of element of psychology. You know, if the recent trend going on is that the lawyers go through special courses of psychology because it helps them to perform their professional duties and functions more effectively. As I told you, one of the examples I referred to was cross-examination of the witnesses can be on psychological basis. Then not only, particularly in relation to child witnesses or the Parda Nashin ladies, the psychology is a very helpful weapon for the purposes of getting to the truth. So it is very important that the psychology implications are become and should become a inseparable part of law. By that I mean it should be part of the academia in the syllabi, teaching, practice. And another element I will tell you is that psychology and law have one very big commonality, that both of them are practical subjects. Despite being the same group subjects, they are very, very practical subjects, and you cannot learn much from the books, but you will have to learn by practice and making your academic knowledge to come into play in your practice in its true sense. But one should always keep in mind, and that is what even Gandhiji said, that you must use your mind psychology for the betterment of the society and for the upkeep of your consciousness. With these words, I thank the organizers. If there is anything for me, I would be available to you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll be taking the questions and queries at the end of all the addresses together. We'll have a proper session for that. It was quite an enriching experience, especially your comments on the correlation of law and psychology. Indeed, law and emotions do go a long way, and it is very interesting to see how human agencies like state and courts make that correlation. So it will be a great experience for all of us to make this observation in our academic field. We live in the era of internet connectivity and cameras and mics, and a little mishap in either one of them leads to a little bit of tension nevertheless and discomfort. So we once again have with us Honorable Mr. Justice Bhavar Singh, Director General DME. I apologize for the mishap that happened in the beginning. I would once again invite you to give your address and blessings. The floor is open for you, sir. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, as per the protocol, when the Chief Guest of an event speaks, then none should address the gathering. But all the same, since there was a technical flaw in my computer and I couldn't contact through my speech, I regret having not preceded the Chief Guest. I welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Prashant Kumar, who is the Chief Guest of this event. And since this is the inaugural session, I welcome all on behalf of the DME, the director, the faculty members, and the students. Also, I welcome Madam Shivani Sadhoo, who will be speaking after me. We had the pleasure of hearing the erudite address of Honorable Mr. Justice Sutan Kumar, the brilliant expressions vis-a-vis the constitutional provisions of law will really go a long way for us to understand as to what is the impact of psychology on the young minds and what is the protection having been extended by the Constitution. As a matter of fact, this mental health has become an issue, not only in our country, but across the world. And generations, be it young, school children, and even elderly people, they are all suffering from the mental issues. A survey was conducted in United States of America by an organization known as Fair Health, a healthcare data firm. And it evaluated that more than 28 million health care claims were filed 2 years back from the private insurers. Then it was investigated as to what is the cause of the anxiety and depression which is prevalent in all the societies of the world. India or any other one country is not an exception to it, but all around. And during this COVID-19, there was a huge rise in insurance claims involving mental health. The survey having been conducted by the Fair Health and some other organizations too revealed that the increase in screen time among the young people and also elderly people has given cause for rising this issue. As a matter of fact, a study having been conducted in 2019 by researchers of the San Diego State University Department of Psychology found a strong link between screen time and lower psychological well-being. More hours of screen time were associated with the lower self-control, more difficulty in making friends, and less emotional stability. Friends, isolation, lack of meaning, and a loss of self-worth have really created dangers in the minds of our young friends. And this loneliness has become a problem these days, particularly in the COVID times. Besides this, I would also like to enumerate other social divide prevailing in our society, which could be said to be the main cause of mental problems, mental issues, mental health. We come across the financial divide between our society. Our society is a poor country, and poverty has played a very big role in dividing the society. We notice in the colleges, be it any college or university or an institution, that some students are having expensive mobile phones, luxury cars, and even the garments they get imported. Converse to this, the students belonging to the lower strata of our society, they are having very small things, small telephones, mobiles, very cheap mobiles, not expensive as I mentioned earlier. This, in fact, infuse a feeling of inferiority complex amongst that strata. And I have noticed myself that the students suffer from the inferiority complex and it creates a divide among the students. And almost the similar thing prevails in other age groups of the society. The COVID-19 has accelerated this problem of mental health. We have lost the social connections because of keeping ourselves confined to our homes only. There were no opportunities of playing games for the students and the young people. They could not go to the gyms nor to the cinemas to see the movies. That is the biggest source of entertainment available to our society. Nor the hotels or the restaurants were open for them. And the elderly people could not move out of their homes to go to club or other places of entertainment. Their presence in the homes, I would say on lighter side, also created an impact, adverse impact, I must say, on the young generations present in the homes. So this all has created an imbalance, and the equilibrium of all our minds has in fact made us sick. And this exactly is liable to be addressed not only by us, but also by the governmental functionaries, so that our physical and mental health both may improve. Concluding my utterances, I would like to say that Lord Buddha said that nothing is permanent in this world, and the temporary things will perish one day. So with this hope that these COVID times will also disappear after some time, and will be coming to the same peace as before, I wish you all the best to enjoy the mental health, good physical and mental health. Thank you very much.
I would thank Justice Bhava Singh sir for such an informative address to the audience. And everything that you said, sir, is absolutely right. I, being a teenager, I am sick of going and getting triggered by my mental health, watching everything on social media. So, social media and this isolation has taken another level toll on our psychology, and our parents can just complain because we are too much bounded and bonded with social media. Further, now I would like to invite our second keynote speaker of the day, Ms. Shivani Mishri Sadhu, to appraise all of us with her remarkable expertise in the field of psychology. Counsellor Shivani Mishri Sadhu is an experienced and certified counseling psychologist. She is a certified couples therapist from Gottman Method, and also she is a DBT therapist from Marshall Linton. She is certified neuro-linguistic practitioner and has a specialized training and experience in the area of personal crisis interventions like coping up with separation and divorce. She's also experienced in the fields like domestic and sexual abuse, child and adolescent issues, depression, stress, loss and grief, and dealing with suicidal feelings. Counselor Shivani is the founder and director of Saarthi Counseling Services, and she is currently working with IBS Hospital. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Tanisha, and thank you other organizers for organizing this webinar and inviting me over to talk about the mental health issues and the stigma attached to mental health. Thank you so much, sir, for explaining beautifully how psychology is important in today's day and age. Before we go on, before I start talking about the mental health issues, I would like to talk about the stigma attached to mental health. First of all, often it has been seen when someone faces a mental health issue, it is often considered some kind of a stigma, which we have in society, because like when somebody has become mentally unstable or is downright mad. In reality, that's not the case. Mental health should be considered just as normal as physical health. If somebody has a cold or flu or some other medical issue, mental health should be considered on the same level. Often I hear stories from people when they are entering into therapy or they're seeking counseling from various professionals. I often hear stories like, oh, I don't need therapy, or I don't need medicines, or I don't need this and that. How can somebody else tell me how to run my life? Counseling should be the last ditch efforts. Let's try within ourselves how to fix the relationship or how to fix my own self. The thing is, we cannot fix our own psychology. So rather than thinking it as a taboo, one should help someone. If somebody is feeling any mental health issues, it should not be considered a taboo. Now coming back to uh, there are several ways to address mental health issues depending upon what kind of mental issue we are talking about and its care. So mental health comes in various forms. Mental health can include depression, anxiety, panic attacks, anger, personality issues like borderline, delusional, psychotic, so on and so forth. Okay, and each one has a different way to look at. Okay, so I would like to share some of the ideas of how you can address mental health issue with the person whom you feel is probably going through something in his or her life. So one should understand to set time aside with no distraction, no TV, no phone, no talking over with that person. Second, it's also important, if you see somebody struggling with mental health issue, it's also important for us to provide an open and a non-judgmental space to that person. Let them share as much or as little they want to. Fourth, I would suggest that you help them lead the discussion, okay, at their own pace. Don't put pressure on them, please tell me everything, or don't coerce them into sharing what they're not comfortable with. Okay, see, talking about your own feelings and your own thoughts takes immense amount of courage and immense amount of trust. So you might be the first person they have been able to open up with. Okay, and don't try to diagnose or second guess their feelings, because often we when we see a loved one in that condition, we sometimes tend to become a medical expert, and we try to fix their problems or by telling them, don't do this and don't do that, do this and do that. See, somebody who's going through mental health issue in terms of anything, they are unable to do it. Let's understand that. So let's not push them. Let's not, and of course, you're not a trained counselor or a professional. Try not to make assumptions about what's wrong or jump to conclusions too quickly with your own diagnosis or solutions. Talk about their well-being. Okay, tell them, ask them, or encourage them to have a healthy diet or exercise, or help them take a break, which can help them protect the mental health and sustain well-being. You can also help them in talking about various ways of de-stressing, and if they can find something helpful. Also, you can listen to them carefully of what they're telling you, again trying not to assume or jump to conclusions what this person meant, and not putting your agenda into it and then psychoanalyzing the whole problem for them. Repeat what you have heard from them, because it allows and it ensures that you have understood what they have told you. You don't have to agree with what they're saying. What it means, you're basically showing empathy and understanding that what they're telling you means something to you, and you respect their feelings. If none of this works, you can also encourage them to or to take support from a professional in terms of going to an NGO, or if they have the paying capacity, they can go to a mental health expert and seek information. You may also want to assist them to go to a doctor or a counselor or a psychiatrist, and help them take control of their own lives. And you must, in the end, you must know your limits, ask for help or signpost if the problem is serious, if you feel they are in immediate danger or they need help regarding any medical attention. You must act ASAP, because every life is important. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was enriching and very informative. Now we would open the floor for questions and would ask the audience to ask the questions. And the questions that we have received up till now, we'd start with Justice Vatenka, sir. Sir, we have a question for you. That does law understands and recognize emotions? Ma'am, can you please unmute, sir? Just a second, sir.
Sir, I have requested you to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yes, now you're unmuted.
You're audible, sir.
Now see, it depends on in what terminology you talk about emotion. If you are talking emotion in a sense of linguistic terms, then we have to stick to like performance of functions in life, pictures, other things where emotions matter. In law per se, the word emotion as understood in common parlance is not used or understood. But yes, there are various aspects in the field of law which significantly indicate that the emotion, see, emotion is what? Emotion is a state of mind at a given point of time, which you can call an intention at that time. So when we talk of intention, yes, even an offense like murder is based upon whether you have the intention to kill the person. All the sections from 300 onwards till 307 of the IPC are varied on the ground of intention. That is mens rea. Technically it is called mens rea. So mens rea is a form of emotion, that somebody killing somebody at the spur of the moment because his emotions arose and he became uncontrolled and he killed. Consequences are different. If you kill somebody in a planned way, it is a different consequences. So emotion per se is not a legal or a term known to legal jurisprudence, but yes, in fact, its forms, that is the state of mind of a person, is a very relevant consideration under law, particularly in criminal jurisprudence.
So that was truly a unbelievable answer that you have given us, and it's totally so enlightening. I have a question that I would like to ask from Counselor Ms. Shivani. Ma'am, as we all know that we are at our home since a long time. So like, what is the role of family in the mental health upkeep of an individual?
See, families of individuals with serious or minor mental health disorders can be of a great support in management of mental disorders. Several people with mental illnesses either live with their families, including parents, spouses, siblings, or children, or have consistent ongoing contact with their family. So family members are mostly the first ones to identify the behavioral changes that accompany a mental disorder, and they can also help the person in getting connected with a mental health professional. Families of individuals diagnosed with a mental illness are mostly serve as an informal caregiver. They also coordinate in the care of the patient and with the professional. Family members also can see signs of relapse and can also encourage their relative to seek early intervention. They can also help the patient or the family member in terms of offering companionship, which can include playing games, telling stories, and help them with reading, craft like scrapbooking, and making collages, maintaining calendars, and organizing social events, or planning trips outside of the home, assisting with personal tasks, engaging in meaningful conversations. So companionship is not necessarily confined or limited to being a spouse. Companionship can mean with whomsoever you can relate with. It could be your neighbor, it could be your mom, it could be your friend, it could be your classmate, it could be your colleague, anybody or anybody whom you can relate with, and who gives you unconditional support and a non-judgmental space to share your feelings.
With that, ma'am, I remember that humanistic perspective talks about unconditional positive regard and empathy. I think we all require that only. Justice Swatendra sir, we have a question for you. So the question is that, can there be a specific role of the legal counselors and advocates in the upkeep of the mental health of their clients? Do we talk enough about mental health of lawyers? So do we?
See, first thing is that I would appreciate my name being pronounced correctly. That is Swatantra Kumar. Okay.
Apologies, sir.
So thank you so much. The second thing, what I'm telling you is that lawyers play a very positive role in, mental health of the litigants. Because it is as true as, if you remember, its whole was said that everybody should have a family doctor and a family lawyer. So they both were equitable professions in the sense that, even for a problem in your home, which may be purely a social or economic problem, you may still need a good legal guidance to avoid that social or economic problems consequences. Now, dealing with the mental health is that when a litigant goes to a lawyer, if that lawyer is able to devote some 10 minutes and provide some mental satisfaction to the litigant that his grievance is maintainable in law, it has a solution in law, and he has a fair chance to get success, and truly so. And if he is able to give him sound legal advice, a sound legal advice given by a lawyer is of great mental satisfaction for a litigant. And presence of a lawyer in cases, for example, if the case is called out, the litigant is running from one court to another, he is very, very, disturbed that his lawyer is not available to him. So that causes him mental tension. That means it is disturbing his mental faculty. But at the same time, if the lawyer is disciplined, he contributes properly, attends to his clients go satisfied. Winning, losing is a different aspect. But then you can definitely help by guiding them as to the right social solutions, legal solutions, and they play, and I believe the lawyers is a great link between society and administration of justice. So you do play a very positive role in mental health of the people at large.
Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. We have received a question from our audience for Shivani ma'am. Ma'am, the participant has asked, how can we take care of our mental health in the midst of extensive work pressure and instant deadlines to meet, leaving us constantly stressed and with little or no time focus on emotional and mental well-being?
There are some common signs of stress or depression usually to begin with. When somebody is sleeping a lot or when somebody is sleeping too less, there is a significant change in the appetite. Either you're eating too much or you're eating too less, or there is a significant weight gain or weight loss within you. or you have frequent crying spells, you're crying at the drop of a hat, or your irritability has increased, or you have concentration issues, you have forgetfulness, you're not able to take care of self-care, just kom bolte hain, you're not able to do that, you become irritable, choti choti baaton pe you tend to snap. These are the signs usually of depression or somebody who's in stress. Anger, sometimes, we lash back at somebody because of something else which is going on or bothering us deep down. Or your self-care is poor, you're not able to mingle with people, you tend to maintain a distance with people, you isolate yourself from people. And in severe cases, it may lead to either having severe panic attacks, you have palpitation, or you have complete loss of interest in activities, you have dry mouth and palpitation and breathing heavy or shallow, when your brain gets hijacked. These are signs of anxiety. In anger, you yell so much, you have hot flushes in the face, you have knots in the stomach, and you tremble while you're angry or in that moment of anger. So these are some of the signs of you being depressed or anxious, or you being angry, or something is really, really bothering you. Or in severe cases, it may turn into suicidal thing also. Some people may want to end their lives because they feel life is not worth living. These are the signs, or you think your overall productivity has reduced considerably. In those situations, I would suggest you to seek to a professional to sort yourself out.
I would like to ask sir, that how you maintain your work, the deadlines that you get, and your mental health. Am I audible?
No, are you asking me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm asking you.
Sorry. I thought you were asking somebody else. Yes. What's the question, please?
Sir, I was asking you like how you cope up with all of your deadlines, and then also to look after yourself and your mental health.
Well, God's grace. And, once I think, well, it's like, when you people have exams, you study 15 hours a day, 14 hours a day, and you do it pretty well. While other times you just are free and you don't. So it's a matter of comparative human tolerance, which itself gives you the capacity to vary from situation to situation. So by God's grace, so far so good. And I think all of you should remain healthy and good. Once your mind and health is good, rest everything falls good.
Totally, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last question that we have right now is how can students manage the social anxiety these days when they are severed from their peers in outdoor activities? Shivani ma'am.
Could you please repeat the question? I couldn't hear the full
I
sentence.
repeat the question. How can students manage the social anxiety these days when they are severed from their peers, their peer groups, and outdoors?
See, first of all, one needs to understand that whatever you're doing is enough. And if you're not able to do beyond a certain point, that is also okay. Okay, do what you are capable of, what your limitations are, what your boundaries are. Rest, everything can wait for some time. Second, if you have social anxiety, anxiety also stems from sometimes low self-esteem or low self-confidence, or sometimes people want to be in control of the situation and they need constant reassurances. So it is not humanly possible for everybody to be around that person all the time to give assurances. So you need to build a system within yourself in which you can be self-sufficient. Okay, if you think you are struggling with that, again, go to a mental health professional. They can really, really help you dealing with social anxiety or low self-esteem or low self-confidence. Or if you feel that if you have got severed with your friends or colleagues, you can always have an open dialogue with them. Look, this is what I'm feeling, and this is how it is affecting me, and that thing should be reciprocated and received in the same fashion. Because if somebody is opening their heart out to that person and the other person is bullying or judging, then it doesn't leave a very good impression. So that gives the person a message: no, it's not okay to share. I can't share because people judge. because people do sometimes become judgmental in these situations.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Moving forward, I would like to invite Megha to introduce everybody about this small initiative, MERAKI, Society from Mental Health. So, Megha, the floor is yours.
First of all, I would like to thank our both keynote speaker to give us their honorable and prestigious time to share such wonderful insights. And it was totally a delightful experience to have you, sir. And with the hope of getting a better environment for our students, for our faculties, we have started this initiative so that we can help each other, we can grow, and we can just be with each other no matter what. In the time of lockdown and all these ruckus that has been created naturally, we have just realized it more that how important mental health has been. So with all these initiatives, we have started induction of student body for our society. The students who are interested to be the part of the student body can fill the registration form, and the link has been shared in the chat only. And the registrations are open till tomorrow, and I hope you all will give us your responses. And it was just so great, and I'm overwhelmed by all the experiences that we have got today. I would like to invite Director Ravikant Swami sir to give vote of thanks.
So today was a great day in the history of this college, Delhi Metropolitan Education. And this day was long awaited because the Society of Mental Health was hitherto not operative in our college, and we badly needed this society. I thank Justice Swatantra Kumar for gracing the occasion and telling us about the connect between psychology and law. I thank my Director General, Justice Bhavar Singh, for giving us examples of mental health. Ma'am Shivani, thank you so much for gracing the occasion. Megha and Tanisha were waiting for this day, and thanks for making this day a great day. Indeed, this society is needed in colleges and schools where youth is growing up in a world where I must say money is the only religion. Means people may disagree with me, but I believe that in today's world it seems as if money is the only religion, and if that is the case, obviously mental health is going to deteriorate. So we are the youth is growing up in an age where things are all materialistic, and therefore this society was very much needed in this college. I am sure a great foundation has been laid today, and in the future we will be inviting Justice Swatantra Kumar, Shivani ma'am. We are going to invite you again when the college, when people will start coming to the college. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
So with this, we come to an end, and this was indeed a pleasure having all of you here. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Have a good evening, all of you. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, everybody, please. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.